So you can see this is called the Lang Pack, the pack which is Lang, and this tells the story of an incident that occurred in the winter of 1723 at Lea Hall, which is 3 or 4 miles down the valley from here. And the owners of Lea Hall went away for some, for a weekend break perhaps in further south, leaving just 2 servants behind, a servant called Alice and an older servant, I believe, called Edward. And when they were on their own in the house, there was a knock on the door and there was a peddler outside, and he had about his person a long pack. And he says, "Look, I've been working all day, do you mind if I just leave this here and come back for it in the morning?" And they said, "No, that's no problem at all." So they took it into the kitchen and laid this pack down, and off went the peddler, and Alice and Edward were left on their own. And then Alice started to get worried. She was convinced she'd seen the pack move. And so she called Edward, and he came along with his blunderbuss, whose name was Copenhagen, I believe. I don't know whether anybody else has a blunderbuss called Copenhagen. And in fear, he shot the blunderbuss into the long pack, and there was a hideous groans and blood spurted out and much writhing. And they'd obviously foiled a plot for the occupant of the long pack to rouse in the middle of the night and open the door and bring in people who were going to rob the place. So they called in all the neighbours, and they waited and hid. And then at midnight, Edward blew a silver whistle, which was inside the Lang pack, and all of these baddies came bursting out of the woods, and to be met with a fusillade. Is that the right sort of word? The fusillade of fire from all of the defenders, and some of them, 4 of them were killed, and others fled, and the house was saved. There you are, 1723. That's a long time after the border wars, but extraordinary story.
Yeah. The real story about this, that story probably happened, but this stone is twice as old as that.
What?
This is a coped grave slab, probably the 1200s. If you look very closely, which you can't see today, there's a pair of shears, a woman's symbol carved on it.
Oh.
And you can see the mouldings on the edge. It's very typical of the 13th century. So it's a medieval grave slab. It does, I'll grant you, look like a long pack.
It does look
The
like
story has too much detail to be certainly made up of it.
Sure, it hasn't been made up. I think they made a film of it in the 1730s, and it's a fantastic story.
Yes.
Somehow extending this idea of Bellingham being a place with a hint of wildness
Yes.
far longer than you might expect, really.
Yeah.
What a place.